Right, so quick little story time for you. So a few weekends ago, I'm working at this film festival. And my job, this is one of my work projects, my job is to stand around on the street promoting this festival, getting people interested, answering questions from people who don't know what it is. Pretty much just trying to sell more tickets. And it's kind of boring, like I'm just standing around for most of the day. But the thing that's getting me through this is that I know after I get off at work at 4 o'clock, I'm going to have a big night out on the town. I've got my best friend and his girlfriend. They've come down for the festival. And I've also invited a few of my buddies from work. And we're all going to hit the town after work. We're going to have like one of those classic nights out. So as soon as it hits 4 o'clock, I'm hyped, I'm excited, rush back to my hotel room because I work in a different part of the country. And I see this text appear from my best friend. And he says, "I'm really sorry, man. I'm going to have to cut it short tonight. I'm just not feeling that well." He's kind of sick. And I'm like, well, that's a bit of a shame. But, I've got my two buddies from work coming along, so we can still have a good night. I text the two of them. One of them is being extremely flaky. Doesn't seem like he's going to come. And the other one says, "I'm at IKEA with my wife. If I do end up coming out, then it's going to be quite late." So suddenly I'm a little bit deflated. I was really looking forward to this night out the whole day. And I'm just left in this dingy hotel room with nothing to do. This night is kind of falling to pieces. So I'm thinking about how I can save this night potentially to still make something out of it. And suddenly I have this idea. So I'm aware that there's a few more events going on as part of this film festival. Like they're running these like networking events specifically for film people to like meet each other and kind of form groups and stuff. So they're not specifically for me. I'm not interested in working in film, but they are going on. And if I can obtain one of these, like, we'll call them like backstage passes, then I can get into any of these events. And surely that's got to be better than just staying in my hotel room. So I leave my hotel room and I start walking down to the cinema where they're hosting this festival. And I actually managed to convince them to give me one of these passes. I'm kind of like pressuring the staff a little bit. I'm thinking, like I've worked this festival all day, surely I'm entitled to one of these passes. And they actually end up giving me one. So then I'm walking down to this bar where they're hosting this networking event. And I can see from the outside, there's loads of people inside, like a good 60, 70 people wearing these passes. And as I'm walking in, I'm starting to feel like a little bit anxious because first of all, this room is like really loud. You can hardly hear your own voice in there. And secondly, everyone's kind of tightly bunched up together in these tables. It looks like it'd be quite hard for me as someone on my own to start a conversation there. So I go to the bar and I buy a non-alcoholic beer. And then I'm like, let me see what's going on outside, in the outside bit, because that looks slightly easier. And I just say to myself, like, fuck it, I need to stop overthinking this. Let me just go up to the first table in sight and just introduce myself. So that's what I end up doing. I just pick out this table at the back. I see this guy and this girl sitting down there, they look like they're chilling. They're not really talking to each other. So I go up to them and I just introduce myself and say, "Do you mind if I sit?" And they're like, yeah, that's cool. So after a slightly awkward start to this conversation, I figure out that these guys, they're actually filmmakers. They've submitted a film to this festival. But the situation is they're from Lisbon in Portugal and their flights just got messed up. So they've only just arrived at this event. They missed their screening. They were supposed to do like a talking bit as well, but they missed all of it. So they haven't even been there that long. And I think that's where it kind of started to click for me because Lisbon is somewhere that I've been. Portugal is probably like my favorite country in the world right now. I've been there twice in 3 months. I could talk about Portugal for days. So we kind of hit it off there. I'll spare you like all the details of this conversation, but it just felt like there was a lot of chemistry there. We're making jokes. They're teaching me more Portuguese. They're like telling me about the small towns where they come from before they move to Lisbon. Just a super nice, fun conversation. And I spend like an hour talking to these guys and they tell me that, Tommy, we haven't actually been here that long, but no one's even come up to talk to us yet. And like, they really appreciated the fact that I'd just been friendly enough to come and say hi. So after that, we get a few more drinks in and we head off together to this big cinema, like a different one where they're showing the best films, like the ones the judges have picked out. And I'm sitting in this cinema with my new friends with this ticket that I haven't even paid for. I just got it because I was able to ask for it. And I'm thinking, you know what? If this were 5 years ago, if this was the version of me from 5 years ago, I'd still be sitting in that hotel room right now. I would have thought about coming out, but then all the regular thoughts would have entered my head. You know, how can you go on your own? You don't know anyone there. This event isn't even specifically for you. You have no business being there. Why should I go to that? So I'm just going to get to the point of this video. As someone who used to suffer from crippling shyness, like it affected me so badly. And to be honest, today I am still pretty shy and introverted. It's just who I am. As someone who went through all of that, the only way I was able to get over this shyness was through blocking out all of those beliefs, all of those self-limiting beliefs, abandoning all expectations for what a good social life looks like, and just following this one rule. So that rule is just show up and see what happens. Just show up. Say hi to one person. Do the bare minimum. Just speak to one person. You don't even have to speak to one person. Just showing up in itself is enough. Just being in the room around all those people and seeing what comes of it. Our expectations need to be on the floor when we're dealing with this level of shyness. It needs to be like the bar is so low that just showing up is a win. Just showing up and staying for 10 minutes. That is enough. And I'm going to explain my thought process right now. So reason number one why this is so effective, for me, it relieves all of the social pressure. So for me, in this kind of situation, before I go to a social event or I'm about to meet a load of new people, I remember my brain just spinning up all of these crazy expectations. And I still do this now. And by expectations, I mean how I'm supposed to act in this situation. How I want other people to see me, whether I'm going to succeed or completely fall on my face and embarrass myself. You know, the regular kind of thoughts that were going through my head were, are people going to notice how nervous I am? What if they think I'm awkward? What if I go there on my own and no one talks to me? What if everyone just ignores me? How embarrassing would that be? Then over the years, I've done quite a lot of self-reflecting and trying to understand what provokes this kind of like anxiety response in me. And I realized that it was all about how I'm defining a successful social life or a successful night out. Because if my definition of a successful night out is that I have to appear confident to every single person, I have to stay the full duration of the night, whether I'm enjoying myself or not, or I have to get everyone to like me, then of course my expectations are going to fall short because I'm dealing with this shyness. You know, I'm not that guy yet. I might eventually become that guy. Years down the line, I think I'm getting there, but that's not the reality right now. But if I'm able to reframe my expectations to be more in line with that reality, and that's not discrediting me and who I am, this is just where I'm at, and I can change that quite quickly. But if I reframe those expectations as a successful night for me is just showing up to the venue, showing up and walking into this room full of people as a stranger on my own, which is already quite a big deal if you're someone with social anxiety. That's already pushing your comfort zone. But if I'm able to say hi to one person, literally just one person, to introduce myself, we should be treating that as a massive win for a shy person. That is an absolutely massive accomplishment. If we lower the bar to the point where that is our sole target for the night, just speaking to one person after we've shown up, that is a win. That is our win for the night. Then after that happens, we should be cool with whatever happens next. You know, we might stay and talk to another person and another person after that. You know, we're building up slowly. But equally, we might also decide that, you know, that's enough. We could stay for another 10 minutes after that and then just leave. And that would also be okay because we've still hit our target for the night. And next week we can start to build on that. We could say, speak to 2 people instead of 1. The point is, and this is just what I really want to get through to you, because this probably sounds like something small, but this is still a big accomplishment. Just showing up to the venue is a win. You could have just stayed at home and not been social in any capacity, but we've still gone out and we've still tried to get out of our comfort zone. And that is what matters at the end of the day. That is the important thing. So the second reason it's so effective is because social skills are a muscle. So social skills are exactly the same as the gym. They function in the same way as a muscle. If we're not showing up, if we're not training them, then our shyness is never going to go away. So early in the year, I did a challenge where I had to speak to 5 new people that I didn't know every single day. Just 5 strangers that I'm going to try and strike up a conversation with. And I did this rain or shine. It was actually in the winter, so it was fucking cold. But I go out after work, after my 9 to 5, and I just be like walking around the mall, talking to the people who work there, striking up little conversations. I also did this in the gym as well. But the point is, there were so many times where I didn't want to do it, where I felt really tired after working all day, or I just felt really awkward, like I was bothering people. Every single emotion on the spectrum I felt during those 5 days. But no matter how I felt, even when it took me like 2 hours sometimes, I still spoke to 5 people. I still got my daily reps in. And I actually met some people in the gym that week that I still talk to all the time, who I'm basically friends with. But there were also a fair amount of people who, I never talked to again, who maybe it did feel like I was bothering them. And it was like a 10-second interaction. But I still did it. I still got the reps in. And I think that proved to me that when it comes to social stuff, no one is a robot. No one's going to get it perfect every time. So many different factors go into it, just kind of your mood and how much energy you have on the day. You can't really control how you're received by other people, at least to some extent. But what you can control is just showing up and putting the reps in, just committing to doing a small amount every day, to just getting out your comfort zone, not staying in the house all the time. And let me tell you, by the end of that week, I had 0 social fear left in me. The amount of resistance I felt going up to strangers at the start of the week, the amount I talked myself out of it before doing it, versus at the end of the week, it was like night and day difference. And I recognize how much progress I've made just by being consistent with that. I still make it a rule to talk to not 5 people every day, but one new person a day. That is the bare minimum for me. Conversation could last 15 seconds, but I've still got my reps in. So yeah, just to reiterate, we can't control how other people see us, but we can control the amount of effort we put in just to show up. And the third reason is that the odds of you making some real friends actually go up exponentially. So I'll always say with social stuff that the expectation going in shouldn't be to make friends, because I think that's kind of self-defeating, because there's plenty of cool people we meet in our life and the circumstances might just not align for us to make friends, but that doesn't mean that we didn't end up enjoying the experience of talking to them. I think my philosophy is just show up and see what happens and try your best to have fun. I talked about this in the last video, which is all about self-amusement and viewing the world as your means of entertainment as a way of relieving social anxiety. But I think if there's a formula for making friends, I've always said that it's being in the right place at the right time. And by that, I mean, you can't control who exactly you'll meet. You can't control whether you'll have common interests with them or you'll share a similar sense of humor that will allow you to get on. But if you're consistently showing up to social events and putting yourself in situations where you are likely to meet and talk to a lot of people, the statistical odds of you meeting someone who you genuinely like and want to be friends with are so much higher. And this applies to things like nights out. This applies to hobby groups and doing stuff in your free time. Even me writing this video, because I always write my videos in a cafe surrounded by lots of people. I could write them at home, but I know that even just being in a space where there's lots of different people, the odds of me having a fun little micro interaction or meeting some cool people just by chance, they're always going to be higher. If you never leave your house, you're always in your bedroom like I am now, your chances of meeting someone cool are flat 0. So yeah, I just think it's always been an ongoing theme in my life that whenever I haven't really wanted to go out, or I didn't really feel like making the effort initially, and then maybe one of my friends persuades me to come out, it's always been like one of the best nights of my life, where I've always met some cool people, or I've like hooked up with a girl or something. So yeah, just to conclude this video, one of the most important traits you can develop as a shy person, if you want to turn that around, is just a willingness to show up and see what happens. I actually ended up leaving my new Portuguese friends in this theatre because my friend who arrived late did actually end up turning up. So we went and hung out for like a couple of hours. And then I met back up with them at this like awards ceremony where they announced the winners of the film festival. The awards thing was being hosted in this like kind of old club with a really sticky floor. I didn't really enjoy it, and I ended up leaving fairly early. But the point is, I still showed up. I still put myself in that situation. I still talked to like a bunch of people. You know, I made an effort to be social, and then it wasn't my thing in the end. But at least I've succeeded in my targets for the night, which was just to meet some new people. And obviously I ended the night with these two friends that I'm hopefully going to catch up with in Portugal the next time I'm there. So always remember, when you're in doubt, just show up. It only has to be for 10 minutes. Just show up and see what happens. See what kind of cool opportunities you can make for yourself. That is all from me today, bro. I'll see you in the next one.